Hey, it's Jordan. I'm here at the Green Party convention. It's a jolly old place in Houston, Texas. You just watched about a half hour ago Julian Assange. He was speaking via satellite to people in the audience, and he got quite the applause. Talked a lot about the Democratic National Convention leaks that came out that has taken down Debbie Wasserman Schultz, among others. Talked about Google being very symbolic of the corruption and the corporatist, quasi-fascist tone in America. Also had a lot of funny analogies. One about Hillary Clinton versus Donald Trump. Would you prefer cholera or gonorrhea? So I don't want either. And that's why I'm talking to these folks. We have a group of folks here. They have all previously supported Bernie Sanders throughout the primary, and now are, you can call them Dem exiters, Jill Steiners, Jill not Hill. I can't remember all the hashtags. So what's your name, ma'am?
My name is Patricia Riley.
And you and I were talking, you've been following Young Turks.
Yeah.
Talk to me about kind of what the evolution was for you emotionally, and also how you deduced, you know what, I'll roll the dice because I can't choose Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton.
Great question. I was a field organizer for Barack Obama in 2008 because I determined very early that Hillary was someone I could never vote for. I'm a pacifist. She's a hawk. So I chose Obama. I have some regrets about that choice, but I was in the Democrat. Let Bernie know early on in all the ways possible that I would follow him anywhere except to Hillary. And I think I had blinders on and I didn't hear what he really said from the beginning. He said, I'm in the Democratic primary. I will honor the results. I will not go out as third party. I will not pull Ralph Nader. He said that early on. I never heard it. I had a fantasy going that he would take us off into third party and we'd clobber Trump. So at a certain point, I really listened to his words, and it was very hard. I told my husband, I'm going away for 2 days. I'm going to read Bernie's words. And when I read them without the filters, I realized that we were going in separate directions, that he was making a choice that I could not follow him. And it was puzzling to me how he could think he could bring revolution to the Democratic Party, which is a corporate party. So I had no choice but to part ways, to turn my energy, life, and attention in another direction. And Jill was my entry to the Green Party. And I should have been here for decades, and I didn't know about it. So I am grateful to Bernie. He revolutionized my husband and I right out of the Democratic Party. And he led me to the Greens, for which I'm grateful.
So, hold on, flipping around. We're doing this very, very amateur gangster style. So, people walking through. Moving over to you, sir. I think the main difference between the people who were Bernie supporters moving over to Hillary and you folks is they believe that Donald Trump is Mussolini reincarnated, that although she is not terrific, a war hawk, all these things, they think Trump might just end the world. What are you guys seeing as, not that he's not that bad, but I see it, you guys don't see much of a difference between the two. So what are you guys seeing that they're not seeing?
Well,
and what's your name?
My name's Ben DeLine. I'm from Wisconsin. I think I'm sick in general of this kind of rhetoric. This is the same kind of stuff we've heard for years and years and years. It's different now.
Speak as loud as you can.
It's different now because we've got a candidate that does, like you say, remind people of fascist leaders in the past. But to say that we can't choose a candidate based on that is in my opinion, crazy, because it's only going to get worse. We're going to get more and more vitriolic rhetoric like this. Issues are not going to be addressed in the future as they're not being addressed right now. And the most important thing I think we can do right now is to try to get a third-party candidate like Jill Stein up in that debate platform where we can hear something different as Americans, because that we need to have an actual debate. We're not having it. The democratic process is not working right now. and we need to do something about it.
So if Jill Stein and Gary Johnson combined get enough votes where it would take away from Hillary Clinton and Trump is president, you guys see it less about your fault and more about I'm not voting for, a corporatist fascist.
Yeah,
Hold on.
I think
Say that?
It will be the fault of the media for not putting our candidates on the stage if we get that scenario. If Trump or Hillary get elected, it's because the media has not given our decent candidates who have a good message on the air.
So
Look at the number of hours Jill Stein has been on national news compared to Donald Trump, and tell me that she's getting a fair treatment. You can't.
And obviously that extends to Bernie Sanders. I wanted to ask about Jill Stein. I interviewed her yesterday, and what's kind of puzzling to me is if they call Bernie Sanders pie in the sky, they're going to paint her as an alien. That a lot of the things she's saying is totally, out of the regular order and not realistic and communist and all these things. I've gone through her policies. They're pretty close to FDR. The climate wasn't as big a problem back then. So do you think there's been a lot of frankly, just misinformation, not just about Stein, but just about the third-party candidates in general?
Yeah, there's a lot of rhetoric that's been thrown around. I don't buy it. I don't think a lot of the people here buy it. I tell you what, I feel very confident in what I'm doing here, and I will have no regrets after this election. I don't believe I've stopped. There's a context to all of this, right? And I think it's important, like Julian Assange said, it's not about this election, it's about democracy. It's about taking back the power. And if we focus on the right now and don't think about the past and the future, a lot of Americans don't know their history, and that's part of the problem here. They're worried about the next 2 weeks and the last 2 weeks. They're not worried about the last 150 years of American history and what that says about the future that we're living. I'm not worried about that.
And we refuse extortion. As Julian said, what they're doing in terms of propagandizing this election is because Hillary cannot win a fair and free election. She had to rig the primary to get the nomination. The only way she's going to win an election is to put this kind of fear-mongering out there, and we refuse that. We're choosing the greater good.
And skipping you, I think. So let me move over here. I want to get specifically to Jill Stein. I love what she says. Young people, she basically said, if I could get my message out, I think the tens of millions, maybe more, of people drowned in debt will be quite attracted to me. I'm assuming, I don't know if you have debt or whatever the case may be, but to you, as a previous Bernie supporter, over to her, do you think that Jill, her positions in this climate could actually, let's say she did become president, the same question was asked to Bernie. How could she get any of this done facing, Dumb and Dumber, which is the Dems and the Republicans?
Well, I think Bernie had articulated it the best when he had said that when the people realize that it is achievable and it's not something that's just pie in the sky, and they realize it's achievable and they realize that we can do something about it, we're going to start demanding our politicians on the left, on the right, in Congress, in Senate, and every facet of that, we demand them to do what we're asking for because we know it's achievable. And if they don't do that...
So wait a minute, you're demanding for them to actually represent you?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
It's a radical idea, I know, but the representation of us, and if they don't, they're going to be out of a job, and then they're going to know what unemployment looks like, and then they're going to get a rude awakening to the struggles that comes with that. And just more generally, the reason why so many of us are starting to support Jill now is that I truly believe that it is very, very simple. If we continue to vote for the lesser evil, we will continue to only be able to choose the lesser evil. So yes, will this cause some sort of a split? Perhaps. Will this cause ruffled feathers? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, we are demanding that we stop getting only two choices between the lesser of two evils, which, as several speakers today, including Julian Assange, said, we can't even differentiate between the two on which one is the lesser evil than the other. So that's really, I think, the mindset behind a lot of us here is we're gonna fight like hell to continue to make sure that there is more than just two options going forward. And eventually, once people see that it is achievable, it's going to happen. We're going to hold people accountable, and we're going to get all this stuff done. And we are going to succeed.
And for you, as a young woman, you look at Jill Stein. You know, Hillary Clinton. I've seen all these videos with young girls, and you know, I'm not a woman, so it's great. I'm all for a woman president. But Jill Stein has basically said this woman is not feminist. To you, moving over from Bernie to Jill, why does Jill speak uniquely for women's rights and the gender pay gap and all these things that are unique to women?
She's honest, and what we've seen from Hillary Clinton has...
Speak as loud as you can.
So Hillary Clinton is not feminist. She's not for women. A lot of her policies are actually going to marginalize women a lot more. We saw it from the last Clinton presidency. So for me, Jill is honest, and I believe her. And I didn't travel 1,000 miles to be here to support her if I didn't truly believe in it.
From New Mexico, right?
Yeah, from New Mexico. So I am challenging my peers and all of the youth generation to really educate themselves and look at it. Don't vote out of gender, don't vote out of fear. We need to educate ourselves and vote our conscience, because we won't have a future if we continue this route. So we really need to look at the policies and not the people and not the gender.
What's your name?
My name is Elise, and I'm from New Mexico.
Cool. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Jordan.
Yeah, one more.
So you just asked a question, asking this woman here to diss Hillary Clinton. And this is the kind of behavior you get in the two-party system, where you, instead of talking about issues, you get the two sides picking on each other and demonizing each other. And that's why we got people saying that Hillary should be locked up and people saying that Trump is a buffoon, instead of talking about what's really important. When you break down the two-party system and you have a multi-party system, then you lose that kind of animosity, because you need to build coalitions, and you're not going to build coalitions with buffoons and liars. You're going to build coalitions with people that you can respect on some issues. And I will say Hillary Rodham Clinton, who went by Hillary Rodham in the beginning, didn't change her name when she got married. That says to me that she is a feminist on some level. But we're not going to admit that, because we have this butting heads mindset. We got to get away from that, and we got to get to where we can talk about what's important to change about our country, instead of dissing everybody, instead of all this anger and animosity and hatred. We got to get to a place of love, and we got to get to a place where we can save this planet.
Thank you.